The star called Varexis 9 burned like a wounded animal in the dark. Even from a distance, its surface twisted with violent storms of fire, sending bright arcs of plasma across space. Most ships avoided the region completely, but the human vessel Vanguard's Reach sailed straight toward it with steady engines and confident hearts. Humans were explorers, after all. They rarely turned away from danger. Inside the ship, Captain Aidan Rice stood at the front observation window. He was a calm man with sharp eyes, a person trained to see both beauty and danger in the same moment. As he watched the unstable star, he felt a strange pull, like something was waiting for them out there. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mara Jensen, approaching with a tablet in hand. "We've detected an artificial structure near the star's equator. It's huge." Rice raised an eyebrow. "Derelict? Unknown. It's giving off energy signals, but not like anything we've seen before." That was enough to make the captain turn fully toward her. Humanity had only recently joined the wider galactic community, and most alien technology was still a mystery. Finding something unknown near a dying star was suspicious, exciting, and dangerous all at once. "Prepare a landing team," he said. "Let's go see what's hiding out here." The structure appeared through the viewport like a dark, cracked moon. It was a massive station, built in concentric rings that floated separately but moved in perfect balance around a central core. Some rings were shattered, pieces drifting away slowly. Others still pulsed faintly with blue lights. "Looks abandoned," Jensen whispered. "It looked abandoned," Rise corrected. "Past tense. But we won't know until we're inside." The landing craft detached from Vanguard's Reach and glided across the void. As it neared the station, the lights along the outer rim flickered, one by one, like eyes opening after a long sleep. The team exchanged uneasy glances. Machines did not wake up by accident. A narrow docking port opened, not violently, not chaotically, more like a tired sigh. "Permission to be boarded," Rise muttered. "That's either a good sign or a trap." The inside of the station was cold and silent. The air had a metallic smell, almost like burnt machinery. Long hallways stretched in every direction, lit by dim strips of pale blue along the floors. Strange symbols covered the walls, beautiful and curved, yet impossible to read. "This place is old," Jensen said. "Older than human space travel." Dr. Kellen, the ship's science officer, ran a scanner over one of the walls. No human-like fingerprints in the design. Might be one of the older known civilizations, or one we've never met. As they moved deeper, the team saw signs of recent damage: scorch marks, broken consoles, collapsed ceilings. But not recently enough to still be active. They reached a large chamber with a central platform, humming with faint power. The room curved upwards into a high dome, painted with star maps. At the center stood a tall, pillar-like device covered in glowing lines. "What is this?" Jensen asked. Dr. Kellen tapped his scanner. "It's generating a field, but barely. Like it's dying." Captain Rise approached the device slowly. "This whole station is trying to stay alive. But for what reason?" Before anyone could answer, a soft, trembling voice echoed through the chamber. "Stop." Everyone spun around, weapons raised. From behind a fallen beam, a figure stepped out. She was small, thinner than the average human, with skin that shimmered like silver stone. Her eyes were bright and violet, full of alert fear. She wore a suit of flexible metal plates, many cracked or burned. She looked young, maybe equivalent to a young adult in human years, but clearly exhausted. "Don't touch it," she said, voice trembling but determined. "Please. It's unstable," Jensen whispered under her breath. "An alien." Rise lowered his weapon slightly. "We're not here to harm you." The alien girl watched them carefully, as if measuring their honesty. Her breathing was fast. A long cut across her arm leaked a faint blue fluid, My name is Erixa, she said finally. I am a technician of the Threxil species. Or, I was. Dr. Kellen stepped forward gently. We've heard of the Threxil. You're explorers, like us. Erixa's expression tightened. We were caretakers here. This place, this station, is not ours. It is a guardian built by an older race. We maintained it, protected it, and then everything collapsed. What happened? Rise asked. Her violet eyes flicked to the glowing pillar. That device is the pulse core. It controls the star's eruptions. Without it, Vorexis 9 would have destroyed this region ages ago. But now the core is failing. If it dies, the star will burst into a storm that will burn everything for light years. The team exchanged shocked glances. No one had expected such a danger. How long do we have? Jensen asked. Erixa leaned weakly against the wall. Hours, maybe less. My people tried to repair it, but an attack forced us to abandon the station. I stayed behind because someone had to keep the power flowing. But I can't do it alone. Not anymore. She looked at them desperately. You must help. Captain Rice didn't hesitate. Humans were new to the galaxy, and they tried to build a reputation of trust. Leaving someone alone to die was not an option. We'll help, he said. Tell us what needs to be done. Erixa led them closer to the pulse core. She pointed at a circular panel, covered in glowing lines and faint sparks. This part must be stabilized manually. You have to place your hand here, on the activation plate, and feed consistent bioelectrical signals into it. Dr. Kellen frowned. Human signals might not be compatible with alien technology. Erixa shook her head. Maybe. But the core was designed by a species older than mine. It reacts to adaptable minds. Your species, humans, are known for strange neural patterns. It might respond to you better than to me. Rise examined the plate. It glowed a soft turquoise under the dust. The energy felt unstable, like a heartbeat gone wrong. Touching it could be safe or deadly, but doing nothing guaranteed disaster. He hesitated. Erixa suddenly stepped forward, pointing at the plate with firm urgency. Don't just stare. Touch it. Her voice, though weak, carried a strange authority. It wasn't a command meant to dominate. It was the desperate cry of someone who had run out of time and choices. Rise pressed his hand onto the plate. Instantly, light surged around his palm. Lines shot across the floor and walls, awakening long-dead circuits. The entire chamber trembled. A low hum filled the air like the voice of a giant waking from a long dream. Captain, are you all right? Jensen called. Rise clenched his jaw. He felt the energy crawling up his arm, not painful but oddly cold. It was like the machine was reading him, studying him. I'm fine, he said. But this thing is definitely alive. The pulse core brightened, stabilizing into a smoother rhythm. The lights around the room shifted from flickering blue to steady white. The station seemed to breathe. Erixa let out a long, shaking exhale. It's working. For now. Your biopattern is accepted. So we bought time? Rise asked. A little, she said. But this is only the first step. The core's internal functions are collapsing. Someone must go inside the reactor shafts to reset the subsystems, and the outside defenses of the station might activate again. Dr. Kellen sighed. Of course, nothing is simple. Rise removed his hand from the plate. The core held steady, though its hum was weaker without direct contact. We'll handle it, he said. Humans don't leave people behind. Erixa looked at him with a mixture of surprise and relief. Then maybe this station still has a chance. But before anyone could take another step, the lights flickered violently. A deep, distant rumble shook the floor. Jensen grabbed her weapon. What was that? Erixa's expression filled with dread. That, she whispered, Was the star beginning its next flare? And the pulse core is not strong enough to stop it. She pointed down a dark hallway. You must follow me. Now. The hallway trembled under their feet as Captain Aidan Rise, Lieutenant Jensen, Dr. Kellen, and the alien technician Irixa hurried deeper into the ancient station. The pulse core behind them flickered, fighting against the star's growing fury. The air grew warmer with every step. Faint sparks drifted from loose cables above, and distant metal groaning echoed like the cries of a tired beast. How far is the subsystem chamber? Rise asked, gripping his scanner. Not far, Irixa answered, breathing quickly. But the inner rings of the station are unstable. Parts of them shift without warning. Jensen frowned. Shift? As in move? Yes, Irixa said with a worried nod. The architecture here was made to adapt itself. But now it's breaking down, so it moves unpredictably. Irixa. But now it's breaking down. As if on cue, the corridor shook violently. The lights buzzed, then half of them shut off completely. Irixa grabbed the wall to steady herself. That was the core losing balance again, she said. Its power output is not stable. Then we need to move faster, Rise decided. They reached a tall, circular door. Strange symbols glowed across its surface. The lines pulsed, like veins carrying light instead of blood. Irixa pressed her hand against a panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door spiraled open silently, revealing a long chamber filled with holographic screens and mechanical arms folded like sleeping insects. This is the auxiliary control hall, she explained. If we want to keep the station alive, we must restart the subsystem regulators. Dr. Kellen walked in, awe on his face. This technology, it's far beyond anything humans have built. Even the oldest alien designs we've seen aren't like this. That's because the creators of this place disappeared thousands of cycles ago, Irixa said softly. My people only maintained what they left behind. Rice stepped up to a large console shaped like a circular table. Above it hovered a three-dimensional map of the station. Several regions glowed red. That doesn't look good, he said. It's not, Irixa admitted. The internal power conduits are failing. If even one more ruptures, the core will overload. And overload means? Jensen asked. The star goes wild, Irixa replied. And we all die. Silence fell for a moment. Then Rise straightened his shoulders. Tell us what to do. Irixa activated several controls, but the systems responded sluggishly, like waking from a long sleep. Holographic arms descended, scanning her before returning to their resting places. She pointed to 3 glowing lines on the map. These conduits feed power from the outer rings into the pulse core. They're badly damaged. To stabilize them, someone needs to access the conduit ports directly. We can do that, Rise said. Where are they located? Irixa tapped the map again. 3 blinking points appeared. Each port is inside a narrow maintenance shaft. And before you ask, yes, it is dangerous. The temperature fluctuates, and the walls move. But we have no choice. Dr. Kellen nodded. We'll split into teams then. But Irixa quickly shook her head. No. The shafts react strangely to groups. Only one person can enter each safely. You will have to go in one at a time. Jensen raised an eyebrow. So 3 people, 3 shafts. Risey exhaled. Irixa studied the map. I will guide you remotely from here. I can operate the system if it overloads. You 3 will each go to a port. She hesitated before continuing. And Captain, your neural pattern is unusual. The pulse core responded to you. It may respond again. I figured that might be the case, Rise said. Irixa's violet eyes softened. I wish there was an easier way. But humanity, your minds adapt quickly. That might be what saves this station. Jensen gave a small smile. Humans are good at doing the impossible. The three shafts were located in different directions. The team split up, with Irixa guiding them from the control hall. Rise moved toward the first shaft. Its entrance was small, almost too narrow for a human to fit. When he stepped inside, the walls lit up with a faint silver glow. "Captain Rice, can you hear me?" Irixa's voice crackled through the comm. "Loud and clear," he replied. "Be careful. The shaft senses movement. Try not to touch the walls. Try not to touch the walls." He took a breath and moved forward slowly. The path ahead curved gently, like a living tunnel. A strange hum filled the air, vibrating through his fingertips. At the end of the shaft, a circular device pulsed weakly. The surface was cracked, leaking blue light. "Captain, place your hand on the port plate," Irixa instructed. "It should sync with your neural output." Rise pressed his palm against the plate. A shock of cold energy traveled up his arm, but he didn't pull away. Lights surged through the conduit, brightening little by little. "Sync successful," Irixa said, relief in her voice. "The first port is stabilizing." A nearby metal plate suddenly snapped shut behind Rise, sealing him inside the shaft. "Irixa," he said calmly. "The exit just closed." "Hold position," she replied quickly. "The shaft is resetting. It will open when the process completes." The light finally stabilized. After a tense minute, the plate slid open again. "One done," Rise said, moving out. While Rise was working, Jensen crawled through her own shaft. Unlike Rice's gently curving tunnel, hers was shaking every few seconds, like the structure was trying to breathe. "You said these things move?" Jensen asked through her comm. "Only a little." A moment later, the floor beneath Jensen suddenly dropped 2 centimeters. "A little?" The alien winced. "It used to be safer. Before everything broke." Jensen reached her conduit port, gripping the walls for balance. She touched the glowing plate. Instantly, a spark jumped from the device to her hand. "Ow! Could have warned me it bites." "It shouldn't do that," Irixa said nervously. "But the signal is stabilizing. Good work." Yeah, Jensen muttered, relaxing as the light steadied. "Next time, I want the easy job." "The job you got was the easy one," Rise said over the comm. Jensen groaned. "Oh good. That means Dr. Kellen is dealing with the nightmare shaft." Dr. Kellen's shaft was indeed far worse. The temperature inside fluctuated quickly between cold and hot. Steam hissed from small vents, and the walls shifted slightly, creating tight squeezes around him. "Doc, you doing all right?" Rice asked. "Perfectly fine," Kellen lied in a trembling voice. "This is just like crawling through a broken engine. Except the engine is angry. And alive." "You can do it," Irixa encouraged. "Just a few meters more." Kellen eventually reached the port, sweating heavily. When he touched the activation plate, nothing happened. Irixa? Mine's not responding." She frowned at the controls. "Try applying steady pressure with your palm." He pressed harder. Still nothing. "Try a stronger bioelectrical pulse," she said. "How?" Kellen asked. "Humans achieve spikes sometimes when emotional energy rises," Irixa explained. "Maybe think of something frightening or stressful." Kellen stared at the glowing plate. "This entire station is frightening and stressful." The light suddenly flared to life. "See?" Irixa said happily. Kellen sighed. "Glad my fear is saving the galaxy." The conduit stabilized. The walls around the shaft smoothed out, almost relaxing. Back in the control hall, Rise, Jensen, and Kellen returned to find Irixa watching the station map intently. "You did it," she said, pointing at the green lines now glowing steadily. "The core is receiving proper power again." "Good," Rise replied. But before they could move, a loud alarm echoed through the station. Red symbols lit up across the holographic map. Irixa's face went pale. "No, No, no, no. What is it? Jensen asked. A ship, Irixa whispered. A hostile one. The scavengers who attacked us before. They found us again. Rise clenched his jaw. What do they want? The core? No, Irixa said darkly. They want the station. They want to control the star. They think they can weaponize its energy. Can they? Kellen asked. If they take over the systems now, Irixa answered, they'll break everything. The star will explode. As the station shook again, Rise stood tall. Then we stopped them. Irixa looked at the three humans, tired, sweaty, but determined. She whispered, almost in awe, You humans truly are strange. You face impossible danger again and again, and still push forward. Rise gave a small smile. That's what we do. The lights flickered violently. A distant clang echoed from the docking ring scavengers boarding. Rise lifted his weapon. Everyone gear up. We hold them off. And we protect this station. Irixa nodded. Then follow me. The fight is coming. The station shook again as the scavenger ship clamped onto the outer docking ring. The metallic clang traveled through the walls like a warning bell. Captain Aiden Rise and his team stood in the dim hallway, weapons ready. Irixa's violet eyes glowed faintly in the emergency lights. They're coming through the lower access gate, she said, listening carefully to the echoes. They always use the weakest point for entry. Lieutenant Jensen checked her rifle. How many are we dealing with? Maybe 8. Maybe more, Irixa replied. They don't travel alone. Dr. Kellen sighed nervously. Of course not. Why make our lives easy? Rise stepped forward. Our goal is the pulse core chamber. If they reach that before we do, everything we've done will collapse. Irixa nodded. The star is already unstable. I can feel the changes in the walls. If the pulse core loses control again, the flare will destroy us. The station trembled in agreement, as if warning them to move faster. They hurried down a curved hallway. The walls were glowing red in certain places, reacting to the star's increasing heat. Loose panels rattled as the gravitational field wavered. Rise glanced at Irixa. Is the station falling apart? Trying not to, she answered. The architecture is alive in some ways. It adjusts itself to survive. But it's failing. Jensen looked back at the dark hallway behind them. Then we need to get to the core fast. But as they neared an intersection, Irixa suddenly raised her hand. Stop. The humans froze. What is it? Rise whispered. Irixa pointed forward. Listen. Heavy footsteps echoed from the left corridor, slow, metallic, purposeful. Scavenger exosuits, Irixa whispered. Strong armor. Hard to fight head-on. Rise glanced around quickly. We need a plan. Jensen studied the corridor. The walls here. They're unstable. Right? Can we use that? Treep, Jen. Treep. 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 Treepler. Treep. Treep. Jensen. Irixa's eyes brightened a little. Yes. The panels shift. When overloaded with energy. Rice understood immediately. So, if we lure them into the corridor, the walls might collapse on them. Irixa finished. Kellen swallowed. That sounds dangerous. Everything here is dangerous, Jensen said. They moved quietly into position. Rise stepped into the open, making sure the scavengers could see him. The armored raiders were tall, bulky creatures covered in patched-together metal suits, their helmets shaped like insect heads. One of them pointed. Human! Stop! Rise pretended to hesitate, then turned and ran down the unstable hallway. The scavengers roared and charged after him. As soon as Rice crossed a certain point, Irixa slammed her hand onto a wall panel. Blue sparks shot across the floor, and the corridor walls began to move first slowly, then with violent jerks. The lead scavenger stumbled. Another shouted. Metal plates twisted inward, one by one. Jensen fired a shot at a loose pipe overhead. Steam burst out, sending the scavengers off balance. The corridor shuddered violently. And then the walls closed in like jaws. With a final metallic crash, the passage sealed shut, trapping the scavengers inside. Their angry shouts echoed faintly through the sealed metal. Rise exhaled. Nice work, everyone. Jensen smirked. Humans 2. Scavengers 0. Irixa gave a tired but grateful smile. You are surprisingly creative under pressure. It's our specialty, Rise said. They continued toward the pulse core chamber. The deeper they went, the hotter the air became. Tiny sparks floated like glowing dust in the dim corridors. The walls pulsed with orange light. The star is pushing harder, Irixa warned. We don't have much time. They rounded another corner, and an explosion shook the floor beneath them. A panel ahead burst open, sending debris flying. Rise tackled Irixa out of the way just in time. Jensen crouched, coughing. What now? Irixa scanned the smoke-filled corridor. The scavengers found another path. They damaged the pressure line. Footsteps echoed again, closer this time. We need to move, Rise ordered. They rushed through a narrow service passage that led directly to the pulse core chamber. But as they approached, the chamber doors were already unlocked. Irixa's expression darkened. They're inside. Inside the pulse core chamber, the massive device towered above everything, glowing, trembling, barely holding itself together. Sparks crawled across its surface. The star's energy pulsed inside it like a beating heart. But worse. 3 scavengers stood in front of it, forcing a large device against the core's base. What are they doing? Jensen whispered. Irixa's voice tightened. They are trying to attach a siphon. It will drain the core's stabilizing energy and make the star erupt. They think they can capture the eruption in their ship. Kellen's eyes widened. That's impossible. Impossible, Irixa agreed. And deadly. Rise raised his weapon. No more hiding. We stop them now. They burst into the chamber. Step away from the core, Rise shouted. The scavengers turned. Their leader, a large creature with a cracked helmet, growled through a static-filled speaker. You humans don't belong here. This place is ours now. We're all going to die if you keep touching that, Jensen said. That star is a weapon, the leader barked. We will control it. No, you won't, Rise said calmly. Because you don't understand what it can do. While the scavengers prepared to fire, Irixa darted toward a control console. The leader shouted, Stop her. One scavenger moved to chase her, but Jensen cut him off with a quick burst of disabling fire aimed at his weapon, not his body. The scavenger stumbled back, surprised. The other 2 charged at Rise and Kellen. Rise rolled to the side, dodging a heavy metal fist. The scavenger smashed the floor, leaving a dent. Rise fired at the suit's joints, forcing it to slow. Kellen wasn't a fighter, but he was quick thinking. He grabbed a loose cable sparking with energy and swung it toward his attacker. The scavenger's suit sparked violently, causing him to stumble backward. Sorry, Kellen said. I didn't mean well. Actually, I did. Irixa reached the console and slammed her hands across glowing panels. I can't shut down their siphon device from here. Someone must disconnect it manually. Rice sprinted toward the attached device, sliding under the scavenger leader's swing. The siphon hummed loudly, drawing power from the core. Lines of red energy crawled across its surface. Irixa, how do I remove this? He yelled. You must pull the release clamps, she said. But be careful. Before she finished, the entire chamber dimmed. The core flickered violently. The star outside was surging again. A deep rumbling filled the room. The floor vibrated. The core glowed brighter and brighter as if trying to scream. Irixa shouted over the noise. The flare is coming. If the siphon stays attached, the core will collapse. 1. Rice grabbed one of the clamps and yanked with all his strength. It didn't budge. The scavenger leader charged at him. But Jensen fired a precise shot at the leader's leg joint, making him stumble just long enough. Rise tried again, pulling harder, gritting his teeth. The clamp snapped loose. The siphon sputtered, sparks flying. One more clamp. He grabbed it, struggling against the rising heat. The core's glow was nearly blinding now. Come on, Rise muttered. With a final desperate pull, the clamp broke free. The siphon device fell to the ground with a loud crash. Suddenly, the core shot out a wave of blue energy that blasted everyone backward. Rice hit the floor hard. Coughing, Epicscifi crawled to him, eyes wide with fear. Captain, the core is now overloading. It needs a stabilizer signal again. You mean, my neural pattern? He asked, panting. Yes, she said urgently. Only you can calm it now. Rice looked at the surging pulse core, glowing like a miniature sun. The heat was intense. The chamber's walls were starting to melt. Jensen shouted, "If you touch that thing now, it might kill you." Rice stood up slowly. Or it might save everyone. He looked at Epicscifi. Guide me. She nodded. Place your hand on the new access plate. Trust your instincts. Rise stepped toward the core. The energy roared around him. The pulse core pulsed faster and faster, almost matching his heartbeat. Behind him, scavengers regrouped. Ahead of him, the core screamed with light. Epicscifi whispered, "Human, hurry." Rise reached out his hand and touched the core. Captain Aiden Rice's hand touched the pulse core, and the world exploded into light. A shockwave burst through the chamber, shaking the entire station. Blue energy surged around Rice's arm, racing up to his shoulder like freezing lightning. The core glowed brighter and brighter, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. "Captain!" Jensen shouted. He couldn't answer. He couldn't even breathe for a moment. His mind felt like it was being pulled forward and backward at the same time, stretched between the star outside and the machine around him. Voices filled his head, whispers, echoes, memories that did not belong to him. He could see star maps he had never studied. He could see the creators of the station, tall beings made of shimmering light, working on the pulse core centuries ago. He could feel the way they shaped energy with their thoughts. He felt the star's anger, its pain, its desperate wish to release all the trapped heat inside. And then, he felt the core's fear. It didn't want to fail. It wanted to live. Rice whispered under his breath, "I'm here. I'm helping. Rice. I'm helping." His voice calmed the energy slightly. The violent shaking slowed. A thin beam of light connected his mind to the core, almost like a conversation. Epicscifi ran forward, shouting over the noise. "Captain, you must stabilize it. Match your breathing with the core's rhythm." Rice could barely hear her, but he felt the meaning. He closed his eyes, inhaling slowly, then exhaling. The core copied him. Light pulsed slower, warmer, gentler. Behind him, the scavengers were regrouping. But Jensen and Kellen quickly stood between them and the core. "You're not touching him," Jensen yelled, firing a warning burst. The scavengers hesitated because the chamber itself was shifting. The walls vibrated. The ceiling glowed red. The station was reacting to the pulse core's overload, like a living creature in pain. One scavenger shouted, "Retreat! This place is going to be torn apart." But their leader refused. "No, we take control now." He rushed forward just as Jensen stepped into his path. They collided, struggling near the edge of the chamber. Sparks flew as their weapons scraped across metal. Meanwhile, Epicscifi knelt beside Rice. Her voice was gentle but urgent. "You must send a stable pattern into the core. Humans adapt. Your mind can calm it. Focus, Captain." Rice's jaw tightened. He inhaled again, slow and deep. He imagined the pulse core as a living heart, beating too fast, frightened, desperate. I'm with you, he whispered to the machine. You're not alone. The core's pulses matched his breath, one slow beat at a time. Outside the chamber, the star began to flare. A great arc of fire rose from its surface, rising like a claw of pure heat. The station's shields flickered weakly, unable to hold back the full power. Warning alarms echoed through every corridor. Epicscifi glanced at the ceiling. The flare is coming. Captain, we must direct the core to release a counterwave. How? Rise gasped. I'm barely holding it together. You don't control the core, she said softly. You guide it. She placed her hand on the core as well, though her species reacted differently. Her touch created a violet glow next to his blue one. Their combined lights merged. Rise felt a sense of unity, his thoughts clearer, his mind steadier. Epicscifi's presence helped him stand against the overwhelming pressure. Let me help you carry the weight, she whispered. The pulse core responded immediately. Energy spiraled around both of them, forming a stable pattern. Rise exhaled. Okay. I can do this. We have .com. 2. Jensen and Kellen held the scavengers at bay. One raider charged at Kellen with a broken metal piece. The impact knocked him to the floor, but he kicked out, sending the scavenger stumbling. I really miss being in the lab, Kellen shouted. Jensen fired a targeted shot at the leader's weapon, knocking it away. She pushed him back again and again, never letting him get close to the core. You're not ruining this. Not today, she yelled. The leader snarled and lunged again, but the chamber floor shook so violently that he lost his balance. Jensen kicked him hard, sending him sliding across the floor. A blast of heat shot through the room. The star flare was seconds away. Rise could feel the star through the core. He sensed the violent energy rushing toward them like a tidal wave of fire. It's too big, he whispered. We can't hold this. Yes, we can, Epicscifi said firmly. The station was designed for this. You only need to guide it. How? He asked desperately. Epicscifi touched his shoulder. Trust yourself. Humans do impossible things because they try, even when logic says they shouldn't. Rise closed his eyes. He imagined the star's flare as a wild storm that needed a path. The core wasn't meant to stop the storm, it was meant to redirect it, channel it safely. He inhaled deeply, and then he pushed the thought into the core. Redirect it. Don't fight it. Flow with it. The core understood. Light exploded from the device like a rising sun. Energy raced across the room, then shot out through the station's rings. Outside, the flare hit the station, but instead of destroying it, the pulse core caught the energy and bent it like flowing water. Arcs of fire streamed safely around the station, forming a brilliant halo of light. The station shook under the force, but it held. The flare passed, and the star calmed. Silence fell. The bright energy around the core faded into soft blue. The hum stabilized into a calm, steady beat. Rise staggered back, breathing hard. The core released his hand gently, almost like saying, "Thank you." Epicscifi helped support him as he regained his balance. "You did it," she whispered, her voice full of awe. "You and the core." Rice smiled weakly. "We all did." Jensen approached, dragging the scavenger leader by the collar. "These guys are done. They want to surrender now." The leader growled but didn't resist. Rice nodded. "We'll lock them in the storage bay until rescue ships arrive." Kellen stood nearby, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Is the station stable now?" Epicscifi looked at the core, watching it glow with a gentle rhythm. "Yes," she said. "It still needs repairs, but it will survive." She turned to Rise, her violet eyes soft. "And I think, maybe I will too." "What?" "And," Rise gave a warm smile. "You're not alone anymore. Humanity doesn't abandon its allies." Her expression lit up with gratitude. Later, as the Vanguard's Reach prepared to dock again, Rise and his team stood with Epicscifi on a platform overlooking the star. The flare had left a beautiful glow across space, shimmering clouds of gold and red drifting around the calm sun. "It's strange," Jensen said. "It almost looks peaceful." "Because it is," Erixa said. The core redirected the flare perfectly. "The star is stable for now." Kellen looked at Rise. "So, what happens next?" Rise smiled thoughtfully. "We contact our command. We help Erixa rebuild the station. And we make sure no more scavengers come near this place." Erixa bowed her head slightly. "Your help means more than you know. For my people. And maybe, for the future." "We're crazed." Rise placed a hand on the railing. "We're explorers. We reach out into the unknown not just to learn." She looked at him with admiration. "Humans truly are different. You see danger, and instead of running, you touch it." "Running ready one," Trasted Housid. Rise chuckled. "Well." Erixa blinked. "Who?" He grinned. "You did. Remember? Don't just stare. Touch it." Her eyes widened, then softened with embarrassment and a smile. "I suppose I did say that." Jensen laughed. "And look what happened. We saved a star because of it." Kellen added, "That line's going into the mission report." Rise looked out at the glowing star, proud and thoughtful. "Humanity has a new ally today," he said. "And the galaxy has one less disaster waiting to happen." Erixa stood beside them, feeling a warmth she had never felt before. Together, they watched the calm dawn of a star that had almost died and survived because humans dared to reach out. Because humans touched the impossible.